Welcome to English Speaking Practice, Learning from Story. This podcast is designed to help you improve your English speaking skills through engaging stories. Each episode, we'll explore a fascinating story together, and you'll get to practice your speaking, pronunciation, and listening skills. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy the journey of learning English through storytelling. A chance encounter. It was one of those London mornings where the rain didn't fall heavily, but rather whispered its way down gentle, steady, and endless. The sky was painted in muted shades of gray, and the city moved beneath it like clockwork, buses splashing through shallow puddles, cyclists pulling up their hoods, and shop owners wiping misted windows. Sarah stood at the corner of Baker Street, underneath a narrow awning. She had lived in London for nearly 6 years now, but mornings like this still made her feel like a stranger in her own city. Her hands were cold, and her coat, once waterproof, was giving up the fight. No umbrella, no coffee, and no time to go back home. She had an important presentation waiting at the office, but her laptop battery was at 15%, and her phone had died on the train. It wasn't just a rough morning. It felt like a cursed one. As she stood there, waiting for the bus that seemed to have vanished from the schedule, she noticed a tall man standing a few steps away. He was calm, composed, holding a large black umbrella with one hand and scrolling through his phone with the other. Occasionally, he would glance up at the street, and then back at the screen. The man looked up and noticed Sarah shivering. Without saying anything at first, he shifted the umbrella slightly in her direction. She looked at him, surprised. "You look like you could use a bit of shelter," he said, his voice warm. Sarah smiled awkwardly. "I'm probably too drenched already, but thank you. I believe it's never too late to save what's left," he joked. Offering her the umbrella spacefully now, she hesitated, then stepped forward, standing beside him under the gentle curve of the umbrella. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was the kind of silence that exists between two strangers who are comfortable enough to be near each other without explanation. "I'm Ben," he said after a few seconds. "Sarah. Nice to meet you, Sarah. Terrible weather for a first impression, huh?" She laughed. "Honestly, I think this weather is part of London's charm. You sound like a local. I guess I've learned to love it, or at least survive it." Ben smiled. Spoken like a true Londoner. They chatted quietly as the rain continued to fall. It turned out they both loved old bookshops and disliked instant coffee. They both worked in creative industries, Sarah as a designer, Ben as a freelance photographer. He'd recently returned from a project in Morocco and was still adjusting to the cold. Sarah, meanwhile, had just finished designing a brand identity for a sustainable fashion startup and was secretly dreaming of starting her own agency one day. When the bus finally arrived, 23 minutes late, it felt like it had come too soon. They had just started enjoying the unexpected moment. As Sarah stepped onto the bus, Ben said, "This was oddly nice. Maybe we'll run into each other again." "Maybe," she said, and gave a small wave as the doors closed behind her. She spent the rest of the day thinking about the stranger with the umbrella. A week passed. The city moved on. Sarah buried herself in deadlines, meetings, and coffee breaks. The memory of the umbrella conversation stayed with her like a warm echo, but she told herself it was just a random moment, nothing more. Then, on a Saturday afternoon, Sarah found herself wandering through her favorite bookstore, tiny, quiet, and full of hidden treasures. She ran her fingers along the worn spines of second-hand novels when she heard someone say her name, Sarah. She turned around. Ben stood there, holding a hardcover book in one hand and a reusable coffee cup in the other. His smile widened when she recognized him. Ben, she said, laughing in disbelief. Twice in one lifetime? That's rare in London. I'm starting to believe the universe is nudging us. Or maybe you're following me, she teased. Only into bookstores, he replied. They sat in the bookstore cafe. The conversation flowed again, effortlessly. This time it was deeper childhood memories, travel dreams, books that changed their lives. Sarah learned that Ben used to photograph landscapes but had recently fallen in love with street photography. He liked to capture people in their quiet, unguarded moments. Like that morning at the bus stop, he said. She smiled. I wasn't exactly unguarded. I was freezing and furious, but still calm. You have a quiet kind of strength. Sarah paused. Compliments like that didn't come her way, often not the kind that felt real, thoughtful. From then on, their encounters weren't accidental. They met for coffee, walks through Kensington Gardens, and late-night chats at small cafes. Sometimes they talked about work. Other times, they said nothing at all, just watched the city move around them. Ben showed her his photos, and Sarah shared her sketches. He encouraged her to pursue her dream of starting her own design studio. She pushed him to create a photo book of his work. They supported each other in quiet, consistent ways. One cold December evening, they went to a local Christmas market. The air was crisp, and lights twinkled above them like falling stars. They drank hot chocolate and wandered between stalls filled with candles, crafts, and hand-knit scarves. A jazz band played in the corner of the square, and snowflakes began to fall gently from the sky. Ben stopped walking and turned to her. Do you believe in timing? He asked. Sarah looked up. I believe in moments, and I believe in people. He reached for her hand. So do I. They didn't label anything that night. There was no need. They simply walked hand in hand through the snow, two souls who had found each other not through planning, not through apps, not through effort, but through something beautifully accidental. Years later, they would often tell the story to friends and family. It always began the same way. It started with rain and one umbrella, and every time they told it, they would glance at each other and smile, still thankful, still surprised, and still walking side by side. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep improving your English through real-life conversations and storytelling, don't forget to follow and subscribe to our channel.